Coronation Street. Sam Blakeman sets alarm bells ringing for his dad Nick Tilsley next week, after he reacts in a worrying way to losing a chess game with Roy Cropper. Is this a sign that Sam still has a long way to go before he returns to his former self? At the mental health unit, Roy arrives to catch up with Sam. He reassures the teenager about the recent incident, in which he locked himself and the cafe owner in Roy's roles while suffering from psychosis. But after Sam agrees to play a game of chess with Roy, things take a troubling turn. Nick is over the moon to see Sam playing chess, shares our street source. Before his mental health troubles, Sam adored playing chess, particularly with Roy. To Nick, it looks as though Sam is on the mend, until Sam reacts in a concerning way to losing the game. After Sam makes a rookie error, Roy wins the game fair and square, which would usually be no problem for the teen. But this time around, Sam finds it difficult to cope, and responds in a way that leaves Nick deeply worried. Nick is distressed when Sam acts out of character, continues our spy. As a protective dad, Nick is desperate for everything to go back to normal, but that just isn't the case yet. By the looks of things, it might be a while until Sam fully recovers. Will Nick be able to support his son through his mental health journey? Or will he struggle with the stress it brings? The ITV soap has been exploring Sam's mental health storyline for the past few weeks. Young actor Jude Reardon recently received high praise from fans for his performance, as Sam's troubles were finally revealed to his loved ones on the cobbles. Writing on Instagram, Jude remarked, "It's been a huge privilege to take on a very tough storyline and to be trusted to do it well. Thank you for all the messages throughout this story so far. It's not over yet. Big shout to my Corey family, especially Ben, Price, who plays Nick, Jane, Danson, who plays Leanne, Claire, aka Georgia Taylor, who plays Toya, and David, Nielsen, who plays Roy, who have helped and supported me lots. The best crew as always. Great writers. It's been really important to show that young people can be in mental health crisis, and it's a reality for lots," added the actor. In Weatherfield, the Cobbles had a way of holding on to secrets, pressing them into the stone until they surfaced at the worst possible moment. And on this particular morning, an uneasy calm hung over Roy's roles, the kind that usually meant something was about to go wrong. Roy Cropper moved carefully behind the counter of Coronation Street's beloved cafe, stacking cups with his usual precise rhythm. Everything in its place. Everything predictable. That was how Roy liked it. But predictability had been in short supply lately. The bell above the door gave a soft ring. Sam Blakeman stepped in. He looked smaller than usual, shoulders slightly hunched, eyes darting around the cafe as if searching for something invisible. The quiet hum of conversation from a corner table seemed to make him flinch. He hesitated just inside the doorway. "Hello, Sam," Roy said warmly, offering a gentle smile. "Your usual seat is available." Sam nodded, but didn't move immediately. Instead, he clutched the strap of his backpack tighter, fingers whitening. Something was off. Roy noticed it instantly. He always did. "You appear unsettled," Roy added carefully, stepping out from behind the counter. Sam swallowed. "I'm okay," he said quickly, but the words came out too fast, too rehearsed. Roy tilted his head slightly. Sometimes when one says they are okay, with undue haste, it can suggest the contrary. That earned a faint, almost nervous smile from Sam, but it didn't last. His gaze flicked toward the window, where the morning light spilled across the pavement outside. "I saw something," Sam said quietly. Roy's expression shifted. "Something concerning?" Sam hesitated again, then nodded. Roy gestured gently toward a table near the back. "Perhaps we should sit." They moved together, the cafe's familiar surroundings suddenly feeling narrower, more enclosed. Sam climbed onto the chair opposite Roy, setting his backpack down with care, as though it contained something fragile. For a moment, neither spoke. The clink of crockery and low murmur of the cafe filled the silence. Then Sam whispered, "I think someone is in trouble." Roy's brow furrowed slightly. "That is a serious assessment. What leads you to that conclusion?" Sam fidgeted. "I saw them arguing near Victoria Street. A man and a woman. The man, he grabbed her arm. She looked scared. Really scared." Roy's expression tightened, but his voice remained steady. "Did you recognize either individual?" Sam shook his head. "No. But I think I've seen the man before. Maybe near the flats." Roy considered this carefully. His mind, always methodical, began to assemble possibilities. "And what exactly has caused your present concern to escalate beyond observation?" Sam looked down at his hands. "Because when I went closer, he saw me." A pause. Roy didn't interrupt. Sam continued, voice lower now. "He stopped shouting. Just stared at me. Like he was trying to remember me. And then he said, 'Keep walking, kid.'" A chill passed through the cafe that had nothing to do with the weather outside. Roy leaned forward slightly. "Did you feel threatened?" Sam nodded once. "Then you were correct to leave the situation," Roy said firmly, though still gentle. "And you are safe here." But Sam's expression didn't ease. "That's not the worst part," he added. Roy's eyes narrowed slightly. "Go on." Sam hesitated again, then reached into his pocket. Slowly, he pulled out a folded piece of paper. It was crumpled, as though handled repeatedly. "I picked this up," he said. He slid it across the table. Roy unfolded it carefully. It was a photograph, slightly blurred, taken from a distance. It showed the same man Sam had described. But what made Roy's expression darken wasn't the man. It was the fact that someone had circled Roy's cafe in red ink. A deliberate mark. Intentional. Roy placed the photograph down with measured calm, though his eyes had sharpened considerably. "Sam," he said softly, "where exactly did you find this?" Sam swallowed. "On the ground near the ginnel. It was just there." Roy studied the image again. Then he looked up. "Did anyone else see you pick it up?" Sam shook his head quickly. "No." A long silence followed. Roy's mind worked through possibilities with careful precision. The cafe had been targeted before in various small incidents, nothing quite like this. But this felt different. Intentional. Focused. "Sam," Roy said finally, "I must ask you to remain here for the moment." Sam frowned. "Why?" "Because," Roy replied calmly, "if this is connected to the individuals you observed, then your safety may be compromised." Sam shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "I didn't do anything wrong." "I did not suggest that you had," Roy said gently. "However, you may have inadvertently become involved in circumstances beyond your control." The words hung heavy in the air. At that moment, the cafe door opened again. Both of them turned. For a brief second, nothing seemed unusual. A woman entered, ordered a tea, smiled politely. But Sam went rigid. Roy noticed immediately. "Is it her?" he murmured. Sam shook his head slightly. "No, but she was there. Watching." Roy's gaze followed the woman as she took a seat near the window. Something wasn't right. He stood slowly. "Sam, remain here." But Sam stood too. "Roy, I don't like this." Roy paused, studying him. The fear in Sam's expression wasn't imagination. It was real. "I believe," Roy said carefully, "that we may need to contact the authorities." Sam nodded quickly. "Yes. Please." But just as Roy reached for the phone behind the counter, Sam suddenly spoke again. "I think he's outside." Roy froze. "Who?" he asked quietly. Sam's eyes were fixed on the window. "The man." Slowly, Roy moved closer, positioning himself beside Sam. He looked out. Across the street, partially obscured by passing pedestrians, stood a figure. Watching. Still. Intent. Roy's voice dropped. "Sam, do not move." But Sam was already shaking. "He saw me again." The figure across the street turned slightly. And then smiled. Roy stepped back immediately, pulling Sam gently but firmly away from the window. "Behind the counter," he instructed. Sam didn't argue. He moved quickly. The cafe suddenly felt much smaller. Roy picked up the phone. But before he could dial, the bell above the door rang again. Slowly. Deliberately. Both Roy and Sam looked up. The door was opening. And whatever had been circling them in the shadows of Coronation Street had finally stepped inside Roy's rolls. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Coronation.